Good late afternoon and thanks for joining us. I am Sage and you're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐼𝐴 TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade, and there's no better way to wind down the day than with today's market close commentary. So let's dive straight in. The Australian shares started the week on a strong note and climbed to a fresh high led by the solid buying across the tech space. The market rally was driven by the buy now, pay later stocks after sectoral leader Afterpay received a $39 billion Australian dollar takeover bid from Square Inc., the payments firm of Twitter Inc. co-founder Jack Dorsey. The market sentiment was also boosted by a slew of mergers and acquisitions news despite the COVID-19 wave. The ASX 200 added 98.80 points, or 1.34%, setting a new 100-day high. And earlier today, the equity benchmark opened higher and gained 1.5% in the intraday trade to breach the 7,500 level during the session. And among the individual stocks, the BNPL major Afterpay topped the gainers list by rising 19.5%, and Afterpay was followed by rival firm Zip, which rose 8.7%, and other fintech companies such as Sezzle, Split Payments, Hum Group and OpenPay Group also ended higher. On the flip side, Australia's largest construction materials and building production supplier Boral emerged as a top laggard, falling 4.8%. It was followed by the mining services company Mineral Resources, which dropped 4.2%. Next up, let's see how the sectoral indices performed today. The equity market witnessed broad-based buying as 10 of the 11 sectoral indices ended in positive terrain, and information technology was the biggest gainer of the day, surging in Afterpay shares propelled Australian tech stocks index to the 10-year high that we're noticing, and the tech space closed 6.8% higher, followed by financials, which gained 1.7%. And among others, the healthcare, utilities, energy, consumer staples and consumer discretionary rose over 1%. And in the tech space index, heavyweight Afterpay, Zip, Xero, WiseTech Global, Nearmap, Megaport and Altium were all among the notable gainers. Bucking the trend, however, materials was the only loser on the sectoral front, closing marginally lower following a fall in the iron ore prices, and the index heavyweights BHP Group, Rio Tinto and Fortescue Metals Group all ended in the red. Within the banking pack, Australia's big four lenders, Westpac Banking Corporation, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group and the National Australia Bank ended higher ahead of the Reserve Bank of Australia's monetary policy meeting. The central bank, in its policy announcement on Tuesday, is expected to delay its decision to taper bond buying programs as Sydney remains under a coronavirus lockdown. And now, before we look at the shares that are in the news today, it's time for a short break. InvestNest webinar, 2 must-know ASX-listed emerging stories with Bruce Smallish, Managing Director, 𝐕𝐝𝐴𝐴, and Inderjeet Singh, Executive Chairman, Fiducian Group. Unprecedented times and volatile markets have completely changed the investment preferences amidst the market gyrations owing to the pandemic. Companies primed to ride trends are extending leads. Do you wish to hear stories of emerging companies that are making a mark on the ASX? Then you are in the right place, as we at 𝐊𝐿𝐼 Media get you the emerging stories of companies that are riding the wave. To know more about such promising businesses, grab your free seat for the InvestNest webinar by 𝐊𝐼 Media, 26th August 2021 at 12:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hear about the success story of an Australian-based silica sand explorer, 𝐕𝐝𝐴𝐴 Silica Limited. 𝐕𝐝𝐴𝐴 Silica has been on the investors' radar for its attractive operational footing, buoyant market opportunity and stock returns. To discuss the key attributes of our client, 𝐕𝐝𝐴𝐴 Silica, and its future plans, we will have the Managing Director of 𝐕𝐝𝐴𝐴 Silica, Mr. Bruce smallish. And not just this, unravel the journey of a specialist financial services provider, Fiducian Group Limited. Our client, the Fiducian Group, operates across Australia and offers its services to financial advisors as well as retail and wholesale clients. The company provides premium wealth services and solutions to its clients, delivering double-digit returns to its shareholders over the last 5 years. To discuss the company's future plans, we will have the Executive Chairman of the Fiducian Group, Mr. Indy Singh. Do not miss the exclusive Invest Nest webinar by Kelkai Media to hear from the business honchos themselves. Block your seats now for the exclusive webinar, August 26, 12:30 p.m, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Stay apprised and invest wise with Kelkai Media. Welcome back, viewers. Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐼𝐴 TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. In this segment, we'll shift our focus now towards the stocks that created a buzz today. Thanks for joining us. So shares of energy companies, Oil Search and Santos, rose on a merger deal, and Oil Search has agreed to a 21 billion Australian dollar plus merger deal with Santos, and Adelaide-based Santos has proposed to acquire 0.6275 new Santos shares for each Oil Search share in a revised bid. This amounts to $4.52 Australian per Oil Search share based on the price of June 24th, and the merger of Santos and Oil Search would create a regional champion of size and scale. And taking a look at the next share in the news, shares of Cypher Point dropped 20% to 2.8 cents on discounted placement. The data security services provider said it has received binding commitments to raise 2.9 million Australian dollars via a placement. It will be issuing 52.6 million shares at issue prices of 2.7 cents apiece, a discount of 22.9% to stock's closing price as of July 28th, when it last traded. It added that funds raised will be used for further enhancements to the company's Security Operations Centre in North Sydney. Also making the news, shares of Aussie Broadband jumped as much as 6.3% to $3.03 Australian on strong earnings and outlook. The internet service provider reported 8% growth in revenue in the June quarter compared to the previous quarter. Next up, shares of Poseidon Nickel sank as much as around 13%, down to 11.8 cents on discounted placement, and the miner stated it has received commitments to raise 22 Australian dollars via a placement of 200 million shares, and the placement is made at an offer price of 11 cents per share, a discount of 18.5% to stock's closing price on July 28th. When it last traded, and the funds will be used for undertaking mining and production studies to consider potential recommencement of operations at the Black Swan project in Western Australia. Now, shares of Cirrus Network rose as much as 13.3% to 3.4 cents on rejecting a takeover bid, and the IT services provider recommended its shareholders to reject a takeover offer from Web Central Group. On Friday, the digital services provider Web Central announced a takeover bid for the company at 3.2 cents per Cirrus Network share, implying a deal value of 29.7 million Australian dollars. And the shares of metal explorer Rumble Resources fell 3%, down to 47.5 cents. The company is an ASX filing, and it said that it has completed the updated mineral resource estimate at its 100% owned Western Queen Gold project of Western Australia. Shares of Ramsay Health are also making the news today. So Ramsay Healthcare rose marginally amid reports of getting more patients following surgery ban at the public hospitals. The private hospital operator in Australia is expected to get more work as patients flow to the private sector surged following the ban on non-urgent elective surgery at public hospitals in Sydney. The non-urgent elective surgery has been suspended at public hospitals across Greater Sydney as the state battled the outbreak of the Delta variant of COVID-19. And shares of Dicker Data rose over 13% to hit a new record high of $13.42 on plans to acquire the �XCEED Group for 68 million Australian dollars in Auckland headquartered. �XCEED is the second largest IT distributor in the New Zealand market. The deal would make its New Zealand business the second largest IT distributor in the country, with an estimated revenue of at least 500 million New Zealand dollars combined. And lastly, Australia-based healthy and delicious food and beverages firm Freedom Foods Group rose over 1% post the fourth quarter earnings for June quarter. The company reported 4.3% growth in total revenue from continuing operations compared to the prior quarter. This was driven by the strong growth in the long-life dairy and plant-based beverages. And now, before we take a look at the Asian market performance, it's time for another short break.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
Sectoral coverage or industry news.
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
With 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Sage and you're watching 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV live from Sydney, and this is the last show of the day, the last trade. And now in our next segment, we'll take a look east towards the Asian markets performance. The Asian markets were trading mostly higher on Monday, tracking upbeat economic data in the United States and Europe and solid corporate earnings. However, looming concerns over Beijing's regulatory crackdown and decline in factory activity capped the market's gains. Japan's Nikkei was the best performer in the region, rising nearly 2%, and China's Shanghai Composite was also up 1.5%, followed by Hong Kong's Hang Seng by 1%. And Hong Kong's Hang Seng witnessed a hefty selling last week due to the slump in the tech stocks. China-based tech stocks such as Alibaba, Tencent and Meituan tumbled following the Chinese authorities' crackdowns on the tech, property and education sectors. In a similar fashion, India's BSE Sensex was up 0.5%, while Jakarta's Stock Exchange Composite Index rose 0.1%. Let's move on now from Asia over to the US, and the American stocks ended mostly lower on Friday after e-commerce major Amazon shares dropped after the company forecast lower sales growth, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.42%, the S&P 500 fell 0.54%, and the Nasdaq Composite ended 0.7% lower. Now we've made it to the last segment of the show, where we'll have a quick look over the crypto market's performance. The cryptocurrency market was broadly trading in the red during the Asian trading hours on Monday. The digital assets had witnessed sold recovery last week, with major digital currencies like Bitcoin, Ether and Dogecoin witnessing a surge in buying. But currently Bitcoin was trading 5% lower, and the world's largest cryptocurrency retreated to below the US $40,000 mark after rising over 32% last week. The popular currency has fallen over 50% from its peak between April 16th and July 21. And meanwhile, Ether, the world's second largest crypto, was also down 2%. Other digital currencies such as Dogecoin and XRP, Cardano and Litecoin were also witnessing a correction, and crypto traders are also awaiting a software upgrade expected this week to the Ethereum network, which may boost Ether's price. Well, that's all for now in the last trade. With our existing operations in Australia, New Zealand, UK and Canada, 𝐊𝐴𝐴 Media has launched its operations in the US markets, and every day in our first show, the Global Market Roundup, you can get the latest and important news of the US, Europe and the Asia Pacific markets. So on that note, we'll see you tomorrow as close as possible to 10 a.m. live from Sydney. Sage signing off.